Welcome to the stream. My name is SCRY'Zilla or Scry. I go by SCRY'Zilla. You can call me whichever you prefer. I mainly cover gaming news. So today we're kind of gonna just dive straight into it. We got some news to cover regarding, we got some Xbox news. We got Rainbow Six Siege news. There's a new Rainbow Six Siege X, Overwatch 2 news, Naughty Dog news, and we are gonna dive into the Marvel Rivals patch notes. Balance patch. There's apparently a balance patch that they're going to be implementing on the 21st, I believe. So there's a lot to cover there. So we are going to start tonight with, I'm going to start with Xbox news. Phil Spencer says Xbox is done trying to convince PS5 and Switch players to move over. Interesting take. Over the weekend, a fresh Phil Spencer interview dropped where the Xbox boss talked a lot about the future of Microsoft's gaming business, including what's next for the team and its desire to release games wherever players want to play. When asked about becoming Sega and effectively going third party, Phil reassured fans that investing in our own platform is important, but that Microsoft is not trying to move them all gamers over to Xbox anymore. This for me is just more confirmation that Xbox is becoming the new Sega. He's just not saying it out loud, but it's definitely, this is like a turning point in history. I'm not gonna lie, it's interesting to be here where Xbox is becoming the new Sega. I never thought something like that would happen in my entire life, because growing up, like I said in previous videos when we were covering other articles where they were basically talking about making this change, like growing up, I remember middle school, elementary school, high school, it was always Xbox versus PlayStation. And to see Xbox actually falling apart, not falling apart, let me not say that. Because just because they're making this massive shift doesn't necessarily mean that the business itself is falling apart. It's just going to be different, and they're still going to be making a ton of money, but in comparison to PlayStation, not so much. Anyway, let's continue. There are people, whether it's their libraries on a PlayStation or Nintendo, whether it's they like the controller better, they just like the games that are there. And I don't want them to look at that and say, well, there's no way that we should be able to build a business there, find fans of our franchise there. I'm not trying to move all of them over to Xbox anymore. People are so invested in where our games are. Let's just allow more people to play. Phil went on to say that the amount of money being made by releasing games on their platforms is helpful to us, Microsoft, being able to build great portfolios. And that appears to be one of the big justifications behind Xbox's new third-party push. Again, these comments are in line with what we've been hearing for Phil and company for a while now. It simply makes more sense for Xbox and its growing list of studios to put games on as many platforms as possible. And as explicitly stated here by the Xbox boss, Microsoft isn't too bothered about convincing players to come to its own platform anymore. Exactly, because they are making that shift. They just don't want to be titled or known as the new Sega, because that could potentially bring bad press to the company. Being a CEO, that's the last thing that you want to do. You don't want to bring bad press to your company, because that affects how stockholders and investors basically are going to view the company, and people make their decisions based off of things like that. Their financial decision. People decide where the money's going to go. So Xbox is legitimately becoming the new Sega. It's happening right in front of our eyes. I feel like there's no denying it. He's kind of dancing around it, but it's to be expected. Anyway, Rainbow Six Siege X news. Rainbow Six Siege X is the game's biggest transformation, quote unquote, including new ways to pay and major upgrades. Including new ways to pay is hilarious. Not including new ways to play, but pay. Ubisoft has announced Rainbow Six Siege X, which it describes as by far and away the biggest transformation in the game's entire history. A full reveal is dropping on March 13, 2025, but until then, some basic info and a teaser trailer has been released to whet your appetite. Let's check this out. Let's take a look at this trailer, see what the vibes are. Hey, yo. Okay. Astonishing. That trailer didn't do absolutely anything for me. Like that that teaser was, I don't know what that was about, but let's see what they got to say about it. A new era of Rainbow Six Siege will be revealed on March 13th at the Siege X. Let's see. What are you watching? Say so. A teaser shown during the championship weekend of the Six Invitational offered glimpses of the biggest transformation in the game's history, including graphical and audio upgrades, deep and technical gameplay, new ways to play the game. Tune in for well, that teaser didn't show any indication of any of these things. Like it was kind of just like, hey, we're working on this. Like I didn't see anything that seemed interesting or anything that seems worthy to talk about. Just keep that on the radar. We'll see what this means. This is Ubisoft though. That's another thing. This is Ubisoft, so I don't really have high hopes. The Rainbow Six Siege has been Ubisoft's biggest game for the past ever since Rainbow Six Siege came out, to be honest. It's been their biggest live service game. All other live service attempts have kind of risen and then fizzled out, but Rainbow Six Siege has been their reoccurring top game. I don't know if they're going to succeed with this or if they're going to fail with it. It's kind of hard to say with that teaser, but just keep your eyes open for it. And Overwatch 2 news. Overwatch 2 developer Blizzard welcomes Marvel Rivals competition, says it's never faced another game so similar to the one we've created. Blizzard. I got a lot to say about that, but let me hold my tongue for a second. Marvel Rivals was, from the moment it was revealed, compared to Overwatch, taken at face value, Marvel Rivals is remarkably similar to Blizzard's game. While Marvel Rivals uses Marvel heroes and villains for its playable characters, it is, like Overwatch, a competitive multiplayer hero shooter with some remarkably similar mechanics and gameplay systems. Both Marvel heroes and Overwatch 2 are free to play, monetize as live services, and lean on the addition of new characters to keep things feeling fresh. Marvel Rivals has enjoyed explosive popularity since launching in December, and it is speculated that this has come at the cost of the interest in Overwatch 2. Speculated, come on. It has come at the cost of Overwatch 2, which is okay. Like most people who aren't diehard Blizzard and Overwatch 2 fans are okay with that sacrifice, because Overwatch 2, they just haven't. Blizzard has gotten incredibly lazy with their game. When did it launch? I think it was 2016 the game came out. They were on top. And since they were on top of this new genre that they had kind of like created, they were just like, well, we're not going to change anything. We're not going to take players' consideration or players' choice into consideration. We're just kind of just roll with the punches. And then, of course, Marvel Rivals comes out and dominates and knocks Overwatch out of the water, to which now a lot of their perks and things that they're changing in the game are reminiscent of Marvel Rivals. I don't feel sorry for where Overwatch 2 is at right now. They 100% deserve it. And it sucks too, because Overwatch 2 has such a cool and unique art style from my perspective. I love Overwatch 2's art style, but I don't feel sorry for them. This was inevitable with the way that they were moving. See, in a recent interview with Games Radar, Overwatch 2 director Aaron Keller discussed the new reality Blizzard finds itself in, with Marvel Rivals now out in the wild and attracting tens of millions of players. We're obviously in a new competitive landscape that I think for Overwatch we've never really been in before, to this extent where there's another game that's so similar to the one we've created, Keller said. You'd think this would be a bad thing for Overwatch then. But Keller called the situation exciting and even said that it was really great to see Marvel Rivals take ideas established by Overwatch in a different direction. Keller admitted Marvel Rivals' success had forced a change in attitude within Blizzard when it comes to Overwatch 2, saying this is no longer about playing it safe. To that end, Blizzard has announced radical changes coming to Overwatch 2 in 2025. While the roadmap ahead includes much of what you'd expect to see in terms of new content, the core gameplay itself will see a seismic shift, including the additions of hero perks and the return of loot boxes. All eyes will be set in Overwatch 2 to see if these changes spark a resurgence of interest. We're now nearly 9 years out from the debut of Overwatch in 2016 and 2.5 from the launch of Overwatch 2, and while Blizzard does not make Overwatch players numbers public, we can see a concurrent player number on Steam are as low as they've ever been since Overwatch 2 launched on Valve's platform in 2023, with a 37,000 concurrent player peak over the last 24 hours. Marvel Rivals, meanwhile, maintains a top 10 most played game on Steam with 310,000. Yep. And look, in this Overwatch 2 article, they have a Marvel Rivals tier list. LOL. S tier, Hella, Luna, Snow, Hawkeye. This is funny. Oh my goodness. Like I said, it's not surprising to see the state that Overwatch 2 is in. And the fact that they're playing catch up isn't surprising either, but I don't think there's much catch up for them to play. People are already hooked on Marvel Rivals. It's a bit to make these adjustments. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been different if they had listened to what fans were saying. Not only that, but not only listen to the community, again, not too much, but enough to where it would make a difference, but also implemented new changes in terms of like maybe utilizing a bit of what Marvel Rivals had in their beta, taking that into consideration and putting it out into their game and testing the waters. Because by the time Marvel Rivals launched, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. You got a game with a Marvel IP, and it's fun, exciting, unique, fresh, new perspective on the hero shooter genre. It was a dub for them. Overwatch 2 still has a mostly negative user review rating on Steam. Indeed, in August 2023, Overwatch 2 became the worst reviewed game on Steam. Well, it's crazy. The cancellation of its long-awaited PvE hero mode, the one feature players said that justified the sequel's existence. It didn't even make any sense to have a sequel at that point. Anyway, it's a wrap for them. So we're going to move on a little bit. We are going to move on. I just thought this was interesting. In Naughty Dog news, Neil Druckmann says he doesn't have the confidence to plan sequels. Unfortunate, but and kind of weird, because Neil Druckmann doesn't have the confidence to plan sequels. Speaking during DICE last week alongside God of War's Cory Barlog-Druckmann, who has been involved in some of Naughty Dog's biggest titles including Uncharted 4, Thief's End, and The Last of Us Parts 1 and 2, was quizzed how his team approached character development over multiple games. See what he had to say. The game in front of us is so all-consuming. I think you're jinxing yourself if you're starting to think about the sequel when you're working on the first game. So when I was making The Last of Us 2, sure, every once in a while an idea pops in your head where it might go if we get the chance to get another one, but I just approach it as, what if I never get to do another one? I'm not saying saving some idea for the future. If there's a cool idea, I'm doing my best to get it here. I'm half joking, but we just find the next game. When we made Uncharted 1, we had no idea what we would do, the train sequence of Uncharted 2, or where Nathan Drake would be. We figured it out when we made Uncharted 2, and eventually it was the same when we worked on Uncharted 3. The same when we worked on Uncharted 4, where we look back and say, how do we not repeat ourselves? Where did this character go? Where else could we? Dude has launched and dropped mad sequels, and he's saying he's not confident in dropping sequels. Chiming in on the subject, Barlog commented, it is absolutely unequivocally the most unhealthy thing ever, because it's insanely stressful to try and fold and connect each of these pieces. Because give or take 5 years, there's hundreds of people involved, and then a whole new project of people often move to the next project. That's a bunch of different perspectives and likes and dislikes that are going to negatively impact you setting something up that early. And they're going to be like, let's talk about this, because that was kind of the dumb, I don't know if I want to do that. I think for me, that requires a level of confidence I just don't have. Like, this is going to be so successful. I know where this is going next. I'm like, I just want to focus on the next 5 days in front of me, let alone 10 years down the line. Yes, please. But we already know that y'all are working on another sequel for The Last of Us 3 is going to drop. That's not much of a speculation thing. You know what I'm saying? Like they said right here, Naughty Dog is currently working on the next major title, Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, which I'm excited to learn more about. Although rumors have persisted over a year now that they're also working on The Last of Us Part 3. Now, this has been a rumor for a while. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it's very likely. And I'm also saying it would kind of be ridiculous. The Last of Us should have stopped at the first game, in my opinion. The second game, not saying it was bad, but it felt like, yo, this game is popping, let's make a sequel. It didn't really feel like it needed one. But seeing news from the king of sequels, and remasters doesn't have the confidence to plan sequels and remasters. This is something I just want to touch on quick. Liquid Swords, the next studio to hold layoffs. Unfortunately, Liquid Swords, we have another studio that is holding layoffs right now. The video game studio founded by Avalanche Studios founders Christoph Sundberg has announced its plan to hold layoffs at the company. According to the announcement, the decision was made after an evaluation of their financial situation and the present challenges of the video game industry. It was added that the moves are being done to ensure the studio's long-term sustainability. Of course, that's what they always say. I promised our employees and shareholders success and to build the studio redefining game moment with a small, expert-driven team and a sustainable work model. One second. While we achieved much of this, shifting market conditions prevented us from succeeding within our time frame. As a result, we must part ways with talented individuals who had been instrumental in our journey. This is incredibly difficult, but we remain committed to our vision and will continue to work on our IP and first game with our dedicated team. There's no mention of the number of people being let go or how many people remain within the company. Insider Gaming has reached out to Liquid Swords for clarification. Liquid Swords is currently working on this first game, which is described as a narrative-driven, open-world, hard-boiled AAA revenge story that is developed in Unreal Engine 5. No other details on the game are known. So this is the thing, right? They're a small company and they are announcing layoffs. Dude literally said, I promised our employees and shareholders success and to build a studio redefining game development with a small expert-driven team and a sustainable work model. Small expert-driven team. So for them to be holding layoffs, it doesn't really bode too well for what they have planned or what they're developing. But hopefully they can bring it back, and hopefully those people that are getting laid off can get jobs elsewhere. Before I continue, we are going to dive straight into Marvel Rivals, the balance patch notes for the second half of season 1. Now this is a leak, just wanted to make that clear. This is a leak, so take it with a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't, well, I'm going to tell you to take it with a grain of salt out of professionalism and courtesy, and because it's the right thing to do. But how many days out are we? We're like 4 days out, 3 days out at this point. It's 1:05 a.m. on the East Coast. We're 3 days out from the patch being dropped. So I kind of doubt that this would be incorrect, but you know what I'm saying? Take it with a grain of salt. It'll kind of give us an idea of the direction that they're planning to take. The second half of season 1 of Marvel Rivals starts on February 21st, 2025 at 8 a.m. UTC. All right, let's see. It says right here, and the hero balance patch notes has been released on the official Chinese NetEase Marvel Rivals platform, but has now been taken down. It may have been either an unintentional mistake or an intentional leak to gauge community feedback. It was an intentional leak for sure. They wanted to see what people have to say. Okay, with that, it's more than likely that this will be the case. Below is the translation of the original post in Chinese. According to the source, some ability and hero names have been changed for accuracy. Please keep in mind these patch notes are not final and may change upon the release. Dear players, the second act of season 1 is coming soon, and the final battle between the heroes and the Undead Legion is about to begin. At this exciting moment, we have decided to make some improvements to the skill effects of some heroes. It is important to note that starting from season 2, in addition to adjustments to hero stats, we will also make overall adjustments to team collaboration capabilities. The following are the detailed contents of this balance adjustment. So for Vanguard, we're starting with Venom. Venom has increased threat after entering battlefield, reduce the energy required for the ultimate skill. Reducing the energy required for the ultimate skill, okay. Makes sense considering his ultimate isn't really game defining or game changing. So maybe it makes more sense to have it pop up a little bit more. The direction of the knock-up effect on enemies after frenzy landing hits has been changed from vertical to inward knock-up, with an inward knock-up angle. That also makes a lot of sense. When you use the frenzy landing hit or the frenzy and it pushes people away, kind of, it makes it difficult to capitalize on that. So instead of doing that, it'll like pull them in, which will pull them into Venom's attacks, which are more like close range. That makes sense. The energy required for Feast has been adjusted from 2800 to 2500. Okay, cool. Increase survivability during continuous combat, optimize the feel of using the vibranium energy shield, and reduce the energy required for the ultimate skill. Optimize the feel. Added the ability to use absolute will for defense during jumps. The projectile speed of the vibranium energy shield has increased from 60 to 80. Okay. Damn, so that shield is going to be flying fast as hell. And the ricochet speed after hitting has been increased from 100 to 150. That's kind of crazy. So the ricochet speed, there is no outrunning that at this point. You couldn't already do it. The energy required for free call ultimate skill has been adjusted from 31 to 20. People, these Vanguards going to be popping their ult a little bit faster. Optimize Captain America's combat experience. Separated light shield strike from melee attacks. Now Captain America can use melee attacks in the flying shield state and link state to activate the first 2 stages of light shield strike. At the same time, when in air, Captain America's use of melee attacks will no longer trigger the divine weapon descent skill. Thor, not much here because Thor is already a great character. Optimize the feel of using Rune Awakening. I wonder what they mean when they say optimize the feel. Remove the global cooldown time after the duration of the Rune Awakening skill ends. Remove the GC global cooldown time after duration. Okay, I wonder what that means for the character. Groot increased Groot's threatening combat range. The maximum selection distance of Thornwall has been increased from 15 meters to 18 meters. I guess that means the from where you can put down the wall has been increased a little bit. Magneto, slightly reduced survivability, slightly increased offensive ability, and the projectile damage of magnetic orb has been increased from 35 to 40. The energy consumed per second during electromagnetic iron current has also been increased from 50 to 65, and the maximum duration has been reduced from 2 seconds to 1.5. All right, damn, it seems like people getting buffs. Now it's not like crazy insane buffs, but I could see, I mean, the game is already fast paced. I could see the game speeding up a little bit more. Doctor Strange, slightly reduced Doctor Strange survivability. Okay, that makes sense. Base health has been reduced from 650 to 600. Okay. He's got that damn shield. You know what I'm saying? His survivability is insane already. So for duelists, we have Iron Fist, increase Lin-Li's continuous combat ability, provided new functionality for Sunfist Rush, and gave Lin-Li more battlefield gameplay options. The damage of the first, second, and fifth stages of Interception Fist has been reduced from 32 to 30, and third and fourth stages have been reduced from 16 to 15, and the sixth stage has been reduced from 55 to 50. Each hit reduces the cooldown time of the continuous elimination and strikes by 1 second, and the damage of each hit of Sunfish Rust has reduced from 19 to 10. Okay. A new effect has been added to each hit of Sunfish Rust, dealing damage equivalent to 1.7% of the opponent's maximum health, including Imperial Key Riding Dragon State. The upper limit of additional health attached to meditation has been increased from 50 to 150. Okay. The maximum value of base health has been increased from 250 to 300. Okay. I'm mainly looking for like interesting game-changing buffs. A lot of these seem decent. And a lot of these seem like they're alright. Nothing too crazy. Increase Mr. Fantastic's ability to harass enemies and increase the threat of his ultimate skill. That's going to be annoying. Damn, the range of his magic field after landing a stretch freely has been increased from 2.5 to 5 meters. Okay, a lot of these don't seem too crazy. Iron Man, increase the damage of repulsor beam in normal state and the armored overload state, making it possible to deal considerable damage without relying on gamma overload. Iron Man is going to be a problem. The damage of repulsor beam has been increased from 120 to 140. The damage of repulsor beam armor overload has been increased from 180 to 1. Iron Man is going to be a problem. They're basically giving him the gamma overload buff without gamma overload. Now if you pair that with gamma overload, he's going to be insane. So this is one. Iron Man is going to be a big problem. I should probably start learning how to use him. Hawkeye. Increase Hawkeye survivability in threat and close combat. Okay. Base health has been increased from 2 to, okay. Projectile damage, 20 to 50, okay. Nothing too crazy on Hawkeye, doesn't seem. Storm. Reduce the threat to enemies at longer distances. Reduce the buff effect of the aura on herself and increase the buff effect on aura on teammates. I like that. The damage, so Storm they're probably gonna make her more supportive, which makes sense. Damage to Cave Windblade has at 30 meters has been reduced from 70% to 60%. Okay. Let's see. The damage increase ratio of Enhanced Thunderstorm weather on herself has been increased from 30, or has been reduced from 30 to 25%. Okay. Basically with Storm, she's kind of getting a slight nerf, but I think it's because their intent is just to make her more of like a team support character, because the aura is gonna be increased. Star-Lord, excuse me. Increase the maximum movable distance of Star-Lord and enhance his mobility. The maximum skill energy of rocket propulsion has been increased from 1200 to 1800. Okay. Gonna be using that a little bit less. Scarlet Witch, increase her survivability when casting her ult. Okay, makes sense. Okay. Spider-Man, slightly reducing, nothing too crazy here. Moon Knight, increasing enemies' reaction time when facing Khonshu's Fist and optimize the damage logic of Khonshu's Fist. Reduce the falling speed of Khonshu's Fist. That'll give more survivability with his ult, I guess. It'll be easier to dodge his ult. Corrected the damage trigger logic on Khonshu's Fist, removing the original mechanism that caused 75 damage. Okay. And adjusted it so that each damage of Khonshu's Fist is increased from 75 to 150. Damn. Black Widow, increased combat ability, ultimate skill, okay. Magazine capacity has been increased, that makes sense. Deceleration effect, the deceleration effect of energy hull, okay. Magic. Slightly reduced damage ability. Slightly reduced energy required to release ultimate skill. The base damage of magic sword slash has been adjusted from 45 to 40. Nerf. Damage dealt on demon's rage has been adjusted from 80 second to 72 a second. Energy required. Dark child from 37 to 34. Okay. Increased Hella suppressive ability when facing mid to long range enemies. The damage decay ratio of soul drain at 30 meters has been increased from 70% to 80%. And now strategist, Adam Warlock. Increased damage ability and slightly increased healing ability after turning on Soul Link. The damage of quantum magic has been increased. Okay. Alright. The healing amount of Soul Link to linked heroes has been increased from 10 seconds to 15 seconds. Okay. That might be a significant change. Cloak and Dagger. Increase survivability during ultimate skill release, reduce the frequency of ultimate skill release, the duration of the ultimate skill, and the strength of the ultimate skill. Reduce the frequency of ultimate skill release. That's huge. The duration of ultimate skill. That's huge. And the strength of ultimate skill. Okay, exactly. Thank you. Make the supports. I love playing strategists. I haven't really gotten into Cloak and Dagger yet, but she's so goddamn annoying to play because of the duration, the strength, and the frequency of her ult. Like, you'll be fighting and then boom, us against the world. And then, you know what I'm saying? Okay, cool. Y'all deal with that. And then 5 seconds later, us against the world. What the, like, how am I supposed to fight that? It just brings the fight to a stalemate. Y'all just like put down the keyboard, put down the controller. It's boring. The energy required for light and shadow ultimate skill has been increased from 34 to 40. Okay, good. The duration of a single stage of light or shadow has been reduced from 10 seconds to 8. The healing effect in the stage is no longer superimposed, and only one stage of healing effect is applied when multiple stages overlap. The camera control is unlocked during the release of light and shadow. The vulnerability ratio of fear cloak to enemy. Okay, cool. Lunar Snow. Reduce the frequency of ultimate skill release. See, they had to do this for that makes sense. The energy required for Symphony of Destiny has been increased from 4,000 to 4,500. Loki, reduce the frequency of ultimate skill release. Slightly increase sustainability. Nice. The energy required has been increased from 3,400 to 4,000. Okay. Mantis, slightly reduced survivability during her ultimate skill. Mantis going to get smoked out of her ult. I could see that happening. The upper limit of additional health provided by soul residents has been adjusted from 100 to 75. Okay, that makes sense. And Invisible Woman, this annoying one. Reduce the frequency of her ultimate skill. Thank God. To be honest, I find her more annoying more than anybody else in terms of strategists. The energy required for Invisible ultimate skill has been increased from 4,000 to 4,300. That's kind of all we got in terms of patch notes. It seems like it wasn't anything too crazy. I'm glad the supports are getting nerfed. Their ults are getting nerfed. But as it stands right now, there is nothing to it but to do it.